welcome to the Retro Tinker. My name is Nate, aka the Retro Tinker. In 1987, kids were introduced to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon and toy line becoming a global phenomenon with a legacy that has stood the test of time with toys on shelves even to this day. In the early to mid-90s, Turtle Mania was in full swing, so it was inevitable that the other toy companies would want to cash in on the anthropomorphic crime-fighting superhero craze. And while none of them seemed to be quite as successful as TMNT, I loved them all. In 1994, Mattel threw their hat into the ring with Streetsharks, and it was, to use their catchphrase, Jawsome. This is a 1995 Ravenous Ripster. And this is my 1995 Ravenous Ripster. I know he's looking a little long in the tooth, the years have clearly not been kind to him, but even still, this is an undeniably cool figure. Like, I'm pretty sure that Mattel's goal was to make a toy that looked like it could take a bite out of a Ninja Turtle, and if that's the case, mission accomplished.
So when I saw poor old Ripster on eBay bundled in with a few other sharks, I knew he was in a pretty sorry state. What I wasn't expecting, however, was the smell. When he turned up, the bag was wet and everything stank of mold. So Ripster here and one of the other sharks had some nasty moldy water sloshing around inside, so I ended up pulling them apart and I soaked everything in disinfectant, and hopefully that killed all the nasty stuff. I think the black marks on top of his head might be stains from the mold, so hopefully I can find a way to get rid of those. Other than that, he's missing the tip of his fin, he's missing a fair bit of paint, his gums are receding, so let's get to work and see if we can bring Ripster back at least somewhat closer to his former glory. First thing I'm going to do is remove the arms, and since the glue's letting go already, I'm going to completely remove his teeth so I can clean everything up and re-glue them in later. I don't know if there's actually a better way to get the arms off. It took a fair bit of brute force. Maybe if you just get a screwdriver underneath and leave them out, it'd be a bit more gentle, a bit less chance of breaking something. And now to get those teeth out.
Give me back my teeth, you young whippersnapper.
Next, I'm going to try and clean away as much of the old glue as I can, so I'll have a nice clean surface for the new glue to stick to. I'm going to use some methylated spirits and probably have to do a fair bit of scraping to get the old glue off. We'll see how we go. And kids, if you don't want to end up like poor old Ripster here, brush your teeth and floss every day, or you'll end up with someone digging around your gums. Well, it took a fair amount of elbow grease, but I've pretty much got all the old glue removed. I found the best method was to soften the glue with metho, then scrape it with a toothpick or a brush or even just my thumbnail. It's not perfect, but I should have no problem getting the glue to stick. To try and get rid of the mold stains, I'm going to try soaking them in some 3% hydrogen peroxide. I'm hoping that the rubbery plastic doesn't react poorly with the peroxide, so I'll keep an eye on it just in case. And if it doesn't get rid of the stains, at least it'll make sure there's no mold still growing inside the figure. So this is just some 3% hydrogen peroxide I picked up from a local supermarket. I'm just going to tip it in the bag and seal it up and then go pop it in the sun.
Hey, bro, whoa.
Well, he spent about 4 hours out in the sun, and yeah, that's made a pretty significant difference. There's still a bit of discoloration there, but I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Last thing I want to do is to accidentally bleach the colour out of the rubber. Still, it's a pretty big improvement. So I've been thinking of how I want to fix the fin. My first thought was to rebuild it with Milliput epoxy putty, but because Streetsharks are made with this flexible rubber skin, I'd rather whatever I fix it with to be flexible as well. So I started googling flexible epoxy putty and things like that, and I came across this Loctite kintsu glue. I've never used anything like this before, but apparently you just knead it, shape it, and let it set. I'm hoping that it might be sculptable enough to do the job and that it'll be paintable when it's done. I guess we'll find out, and if it doesn't work, I'll probably just use some Milliput and be done with it. I'm also going to cut a little piece of styrene sheet and glue it in to reinforce the joint and to give the putty something to stick to. So I'm just going to trace the shape of the fin, and that'll give me a rough guideline for the styrene. I punched a small hole through the middle just in case the putty doesn't stick very well to the styrene. The fin is actually hollow, the rubber only goes solid right at the tip. You can see where this air bubble's been, so I'm just going to cut through there, then I can glue the piece of styrene in. Alright, let's give this stuff a try, and fingers crossed it does what I want it to. My first impression is this stuff is really soft, so I'm glad I put the styrene in there as a reinforcement. We'll see how we go. So I'm just dipping the tool in a little bit of isopropyl alcohol just to help smooth the putty. So I've given it a bit of a scar and a couple of staples just to give it a bit of character, but yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So we'll just leave this overnight and come back to it tomorrow.
Action Jam!
The battle for breakfast just got interesting. The evil Baron von Chutney will stop at nothing to gain condimental supremacy. It's up to Duke and the elite GI Jam Action Jamandos to stop the evil Baron and save breakfast. I claim this toast in the name of the savory. The sour shall rise once again. Not so fast, Baron von Chutney. The choice of flavor is the right of all Jamericans. And just how is an unsavory layabout like you going to stop me? With my bare hands, if I have to. You haven't heard the last of Baron von Chutney. G.I. Jam has saved the day. For freedom, for Jamerica. Action Jam, in stores now.
These ain't your grandma's jams.
Alright, that's not looking too bad. Probably could have got it a bit better if I had a bit more patience, but I'll give it a bit of a sand and then we can paint it. It's not looking too bad. One of the staples did come off. I mustn't have pressed it down properly when I was working on it, but yeah, it's okay. It can be a bit lopsided. I don't mind. Alright, let's mix up some paint and see if we can get something close to a match. So my colour matching skills can be a bit hit and miss, and today it seems they've chosen miss, but all in all it's not too bad. The scars and staples do help blend the colour a bit, and I gave it a coat of Mod Podge to reduce the glossiness. Overall I think it looks kind of cool. Now I'm fairly certain that this earring is supposed to be gold, so let's give it a go with this gold pen. Yeah, that looks cool. Very badass. And now to sort out this white paint. I've been trying to decide whether to brush the paint on or mask it up and use the airbrush for a more consistent finish. I'm thinking I might start by brush touching the missing areas to get a feel for how the paint's going to match and whether brush marks are going to be an issue. If it looks alright, I'll leave it at that. If I'm not happy with it, I think I'll go for the airbrush. It's already fairly obvious that the colours aren't going to match and that brush strokes are going to be an issue, so I'm going to opt for the airbrush. So before I do get the airbrush out though, I am going to touch up some of these spots and then sand them back a little bit so I won't have obvious low spots in the paint after it's sprayed. Basically, now they're all filled in with white, I'm hoping that if I give the whole area a light sand and then a fresh coat of paint, it'll all be a nice uniform colour.
that he's all sanded, let's mask up and go throw some paint at him.
Well, that was a pain to mask up, and as you can see, none of this stuff really wants to stick down. So I'm giving up on the airbrush. I'm going to revert to plan A and go back to the brush. So he's had one coat of paint and already it's looking pretty good. I did go out and buy this airbrush paint, so it's a bit thinner than what I was using before, so it's kept the brush marks to a minimum. I think I'll give him one more coat and then that'll do it. Alright, that's looking heaps better. The finish on the paint's a little flat though, so I'm going to give it a light coat of Mod Podge just to give it a bit of gloss. Yeah, that looks better. Glossy, but not too glossy. And since I've got the white paint out already, I may as well deal with these cavities. Alright, I guess it's time to glue in his pearly whites. Since the rubber's going to flex from time to time, I've decided I'm going to try out this contact glue that's made for shoes. It says it works on most plastics, I just hope that this counts as most plastics. So contact glue is pretty easy to use. You just apply a thin layer to each part, let it sit for a minute, push the pieces together, and the bond should be pretty much instant. The downside is that you've pretty much got to get it right the first time, and that it can be a bit messy if you're not careful. And past experience tells me that I'm a messy boy, so wish me luck. Well, that's one side done. So far, so good. Okay, and that should just about... Ah! What the hell, man? Why?
That's for waterboarding me, you psycho.
I was trying to help you, you jerk. Give it back so I can go to the hospital.
Sure, you can have that back. In about 16 hours.
Oh, that's it, you son of a... Well, now that I'm back from the freaking hospital, I guess I can put his arms back on. Sorry. You should be. There's nothing left but a few paint touch-ups. that should just about do it. He's not perfect. The
for
colour on the
yourself.
fin repair, it kinda irks me. I'll most likely end up having another crack at it sometime in the near future, so don't be surprised if you see something pop up on social media like, I fixed it! Also, the rubber skin seems to have a kind of clear coat from the factory that's peeled in places, so it looks a little splotchy. I had thought of a way to fix it, but I want to see if the dark spots come back or not before trying it. Other than that, I'm really happy with how he turned out. He looks a whole lot better than when I started, and he's going to look great on the shelf. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give us a like, comment, subscribe, give the old algorithm a tickle, that'd be great. In fact, it'd be more than great. It'd be Jawsome.
Jawsome!
Nailed it, buddy.